Ben, I'm going to start with you. So I was going to ask you, how do you think it's gone down? But I think it's safe to say your people love her.
They really have enjoyed it, haven't they? And I mean, we've seen thousands of people turning out to these very cleverly coordinated events. They're going to key sort of tourist spots, riding a tram in Melbourne. They've been at Bondi Beach. Very cleverly coordinated tour, front pages of all the newspapers. The TV channels in the main cities in Australia have been showing live coverage of them meeting people, so that the little moments we've seen of Harry giving hugs, Meghan giving hugs, all that sort of stuff, that's been shown live on television. You couldn't imagine that happening here just for a regular royal tour, so it has been very well received.
Okay, it's been ages since I've seen you, isn't it? I think, what was it, Monday? We were talking about their arrival, the announcement of the baby, and it was that announcement that really kicked things off. I mean, there was always going to be so much interest in this tour, but just announcing that Meghan is expecting first child with Harry, that just sent things to a whole new level.
Yes, there was always going to be a huge amount of interest. They're incredibly popular. Their big royal engagement since the wedding, Meghan's big first royal engagement. But the minute that the royal baby was announced, obviously that increased the excitement, and I saw that it was the front cover of quite a lot of Australian newspapers. I think my favourite headline was Air Dinkum. That was quite funny, but they're obviously very inventive.
We also had Ginger Pregs, was another good one.
I didn't see that one. But I do think that it's really tripled the interest, and there's interest worldwide as well. And clearly it's gone incredibly well because Harry and Meghan really are winning people over, and it's an arduous thing, a royal tour. I do follow them, and I understand that yesterday Meghan couldn't sleep. She's obviously got she's pregnant, she's got jet lag. It's an exhausting schedule. She said she was up at 4:30 doing yoga because she couldn't sleep. So I think we have to really, it's tough work, and it's impressive that they're doing such a great job of keeping going and smiling and really being great ambassadors for the country.
I mean, what's also impressive is the reaction. I mean, some of the heirs, I mean, we saw it in Simon's piece there. They turned up at the school, wherever they've been turning up, they've been getting almost rock star type reaction from people who've gone out to see them.
Well, absolutely, and obviously because it's Meghan Markle, the Duchess of Sussex's first royal trip to Australia. Harry's been there a few times before. It is important, though, to look at the difference between popularity and perhaps Australia's love for the monarchy and still the monarchy rule in Australia at the moment. I saw a new poll came out just before they arrived in the country saying that a majority of Australians would like to see the country as a republic, to get rid of the Queen, have an Australian head of state. But they are obviously popular figures, and it is possible, of course, to enjoy them, to want to go see them, to follow what they're up to without necessarily wanting to have a British head of state.
And Kate, I mean, we always thought that with Meghan joining the royal family and Harry in general, even before Meghan married him, we saw a new kind of royal family, a modern kind of royal family. And we've certainly seen that with this trip in Australia, with the hugs, the breaking of protocol on so many levels.
Yes, and they are incredibly informal. We've seen the hugs, we've seen the barefoot on Bondi Beach, but sometimes people talk about breaking protocol, and there's been a lot of conversations about Meghan breaking protocol. I think there was a lengthy conversation, you might have missed it, Ben, about whether or not Meghan had closed her car door and that was breaking protocol. But essentially, I mean, there's no rule book saying you must do this and you mustn't do this. And I think the royal family are becoming more and more informal. And simply the thing is that Harry has to recognise now that he is no longer number one. He's no longer number one, she is. And I remember when Prince Charles and Princess Diana went on their first tour to Australia, he really struggled because you have two lines of people waiting for you. And I'm afraid to say poor Prince Charles was very disappointed that the line that he got were very sad because they really wanted to see Princess Diana. But I absolutely agree with you. I think the fact is that there's a huge amount of popularity, a huge amount of coverage. People love them. They're on the front pages. But there will, I think, be a referendum on the monarchy, and that will happen when the Queen's time ends. I think that's very clear that they're not going to do it now, but later they will do one.
Absolutely, and I did hear one argument that if Kim Kardashian and Kanye West decided to pop down to Bondi Beach, you'd probably get an even bigger crowd. So obviously there is an element of celebrity there. People want to see the people they see in the newspapers and on television. In this case, they happen to be members of the royal family.
And it's so interesting, just going back to that Republican debate. I mean, Bill Shorten, the leader of the opposition, he met Harry and Meghan, and he said it was a privilege. This is somebody, I said, a staunch Republican, just delighted to meet this royal couple.
Yeah, and obviously that's a pretty common position in Australia. I don't think many Australians wish them any ill will or wouldn't want them to be coming out to visit Australia, but Bill Shorten is perhaps representing the views of the majority of people who simply don't want to have they want an Australian head of state. And our previous Prime Minister, we change them every few weeks, so you'll have to forgive me for that. Our previous Prime Minister, when he met the Queen recently over here, he said that he's not a monarchist, he's an Elizabethan, that he loves the Queen as a person but would like to see an Australian republic. So it's a pretty common position to have.
I think the previous referendum, it made the choice between either the Queen or a head of state selected by government. So therefore, it was not a popular view. So it's going to have to be rather different. I think the people felt that if they want to have a head of state, it can't be one that's selected by their politicians.
Well, one of the most memorable moments of the trip so far has been Harry's meeting with a 5-year-old boy who was very happy to see him. I can't see this too many times. The moment little Luke Vincent melted hearts around the world, giving the Prince a bear hug and even stroking his beard. The Duke and Duchess of Sussex certainly didn't seem to mind the breach of royal protocol. Well, Luke and his school principal spoke to Australian TV about their royal encounter, and this is what they had to say.
Did we meet Harry?
Harry.
Harry, and who's your favourite? Is Harry your favourite?
Yes.
He is. And what does he have on his face? Does he have a
Big.
a beard? Yep. And did you give Harry a hug yesterday?
Yes.
How many? 2?
2.
So cute. I mean, it just has to be the best moment of the trip so far. You just couldn't see him doing that with the Queen, could you?
No, and Harry loves children. He always has loved children. It's not just because he's about to become a father himself. He's always been marvellous with children. And certainly the Queen is obviously much more formal in her approach to the crowds. But, you know, you do think about times that the Queen, for example, after the Manchester bombings, that the Queen was there in the hospital by people's bed talking to people. She herself, she isn't necessarily a hugger, but she does use words to create that warmth.
I mean, do you think that's something that's also made them a little bit more appealing, the fact that they were willing to break barriers, break those protocol, break tradition, and actually get a little bit closer to the people?
Well, it is, but at the same time, you have to remember it's the Duchess of Sussex, one of her first sort of big royal tours, if you like, and she's done a few engagements prior to this. You could hardly expect her to be going around sort of acting like Princess Anne, could you? I mean, she can't be reserved. She needs to be. She's young, she's new to the royal family. She should be approachable and she should be doing these things, and Australia is a good place to do it because I think Australians appreciate that sort of relaxed behaviour, and perhaps Harry and Meghan feel that they can be a little bit more relaxed when they're away from the UK.
And of course, real serious issues as well. We saw Harry on the beach in that circle. That was it, no bad vibe circle, they called it. And talking about mental health again, just really talking about the importance of venting, of talking about issues that you might be dealing with.
Yes, I think Harry's work in mental health is very important, and we do have to remember, of course, the Invictus Games is coming up, which is, I think that it's an incredible thing that Harry's done in terms of a veteran himself, talking about what veterans have suffered. So many veterans themselves suffer from mental health. So it's very important, these discussions that Harry has been having. And I do think that that's always at the back of his mind. Yes, there's the fluffy stuff, but also there's the fact that he genuinely wants to try and make the world a better place.
OK, Kate Williams and Ben Lewis, good talking to you both. Thank you.